From the rugged desert outside Yuma, Arizona, this is Outpost Outspoken. Outpost Outspoken is the official podcast of U.S. Army Yuma Proving Ground, which conducts natural environment testing of military equipment in Arizona, Alaska, and the tropics. Hello, I'm Mark Schauer. The specialized equipment Yuma Proving Ground needs to conduct its test mission is subject to the same extreme natural elements as the items under test. Ensuring it is as rugged and portable as possible sometimes involves the assistance of YPG's Electro-Optical Maintenance Lab, the work of which Steve Taylor of YPG's Engineering Support Branch oversees. The EOM lab maintains a lot of very highly specialized electronic equipment that's used in a very rugged environment. What sort of things do you do toward that end?
I think if you think about it, anything that we use out here to support any of the testing, any of that equipment, for the most part, we can either fix it or we try to fix it. And even as old as it gets, hopefully we have some of the specialized tooling that we can still fabricate or maybe even improve upon some of the designs to help keep some of this equipment going so that we don't have to replace it year after year, which would get really, really expensive.
This could be everything from kineto tracking mounts to CAT card readers to cleaning out extremely specialized high-speed cameras.
Yep, down to all that specialized equipment, the high-end equipment, like you said, like the flight followers, all the high-speed, the optics that you see that are used around, the kineto tracking mounts, some of the trailers, the support trailers that you see just out on the range that have been customized to fit the needs of that specific group. You know, maybe it came through the EM lab, maybe they helped out with some of the electrical panels, maybe some outlets or connectors that you wanted on there, down to something so simple as, you know, maybe just a little cable or a wire or something came loose on a board. Like the EM lab can support that and help get that equipment back up and going and out in the field to support the test.
Now, given the very rugged natural environment, fine moon dust in the desert and windstorms and stuff, you must have a lot of stuff coming your way.
Well, yeah, we try our best to keep the dirt out of things, and especially with the extreme environment as we're experiencing now with the summer with the extreme heat, you know, maybe so dust-wise, you try and keep the dust out, maybe some enclosures sealed up the best we can, but you also have to think that, like during the summer, the equipment's going to get hot if we keep it enclosed, so how do we keep it cool? Are fans enough? Do we need some kind of air conditioning equipment? You know, so these guys think of multiple ways to protect the equipment and keep it running. You know, like I said, just protecting it, putting it in an enclosure might cause it to overheat and then fail. So now you've created another problem by just keeping the dust out. So they have the capability and the personnel to fabricate and engineer these, you know, new designs to meet the needs of the customer. So.
Now, one thing that struck me was there were boxes for GoPro cameras for airdrop tests, parachute tests, and the folks were having a difficult time recovering these because it blended in with the desert dun and the desert pavement. So your folks started fabricating boxes in fluorescent colors that really stood out in the desert sand.
Yep. Yeah, in fact, I think that first design's actually been improved upon a couple times since then. They made it even easier to attach to the boxes, so they've made it to where they can even 3D print it to where it screws on, and then they can adjust the direction that the GoPro is aimed in. But yeah, so to even meet that need, the fluorescent yellow and the like neon orange colors really helped them be able to recover the cameras and the structures that they were holding them in. So it worked well, and they liked it so much that I don't know how many they've printed, at least well over 50 or 60 of these things by now.
So the equipment you bring to bear for this mission, it's multiple 3D printers, a laser engraver. What other kind of things do you have?
So the latest thing that we're adding right now, actually this week, the 3D router tape will hold, I want to say it's either, man, it's probably a 4x4, maybe a little bit bigger sheet of aluminum. I don't have the specifics right off the top of my head, but maybe up to 3/4 of an inch to an inch thick, to where we can lay that sheet down on this 3D router table, and it could cut multiple pieces that, however we arrange it, like kind of cookie cutter style out of the dough, you can cut it out of this sheet of aluminum. I could see this saving, weeks to months, depending on how many pieces that we need to get done. So this is really going to be a huge time saver for the EM lab, and definitely allow them to support more, especially with the instrumentation division, when they're actually asking for a lot of these small brackets and new, with the new equipment that we're coming, new brackets, new attachments that they need to get the work done in the field, and they'll be able to support that much faster than they are doing right now. And of course, then the guys are staying up to date with the latest high-speed cameras that they're working with. We always have the guys that are tearing apart the lenses to get the moon dust out of them, keep the sensors clean so we get the best images that we can. The latest and greatest with the cables, with fiber optics, whatever's coming down the pipe for the new connectors and stuff, these guys need to stay on top of it so that if it breaks out in the field, and hopefully these guys are able to get you back up and going pretty quick, hopefully within 24 hours, if not sooner.
MyPG's reputation for flexibility and meeting challenges like that is widely renowned, and I know you guys are a big part of that.
Yeah. There's times that, especially during some of these big tests like we were talking about before, whether PC or Edge, just something as simple as a cable breaking. But, there's, you don't have another 50-foot cable that can do the same thing. So, usually people run right to the EM lab, and most of the time they're able to repair it. Also, they can make a brand new cable for you if needs be. So these guys are on the ball, and most of the time they have the equipment ready to go, and most of them are pretty flexible. They understand the mission and the need, and they'll get on top of it, stop what they're doing to support the mission and make sure that we're supporting the customer and making them happy.
Steve Taylor, it's really good talking with you today.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.
Hello, my name is James Gilbert of the YPG Public Affairs Office. This August marks the 14th observance of Army Anti-Terrorism Awareness Month, and joining me to talk about it is Army Test and Evaluation Command Anti-Terrorism Officer Robert Brosio. So a common theme of successful counterterrorism operations is people reporting and following up on suspicious activity. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
My take is I look at it as if I'm at home. I like to like if you're living at home, you manage risk by locking your doors, your windows. You don't leave passwords laying out. You have antivirus on your computers, so that way people can't access your data, and you make sure that your children are safe inside your home, and you look at all the avenues of how somebody can attack you, and that's how I look at anti-terrorism. From living in a home, you can take that information and pretty much take it at a macro scale here on an installation. On the installation, I take those same measures, of course, and expand them a little bit more. Here on the base, we do the same thing. Once we go with the managing the risk, we go around the installation. We look at how we do an assessment of how a terrorist or we have a checklist, an actual checklist of what we go through and how a bad person can come and might want to attack us, might want to stop what we're doing in our missions, might want to try to, gather information to harm us.
How important is the see something, say something aspect of it? So
see something, say something. I will say it's probably the pinnacle of anti-terrorism from my point, from my standpoint. I say that because I can't be around. All the leadership can't be around everywhere, or the police can't be everywhere. We rely solely on the workforce, since there's 2,000 plus employees, and we have those all our eyes and ears. So they're more likely to see something suspicious, and they're able to contact, the law enforcement or myself. so that way we can begin some sort of investigation or find out what it is that they find suspicious.
What is the purpose of Anti-Terrorism Month, and why is it important?
So, Anti-Terrorism Month, it's another defense element within our AT program. It's to fight against terrorism. It's important to know what can be a threat and to have an awareness to detect terrorist activity. That's basically a huge information campaign. That's why I've driven around the installation and set up banners at all entry areas so that the workforce know that, hey, something we need to, reinvigorate the See Something, Say Something program. I also flew the anti-terrorism flag in front of the rock or the building there, so that people, when they walk in, they say, hey, look, and there it is. For the whole month of August, I'm sure that all the workforce, they're constantly vigilant through whatever they do. I just want to reinvigorate that for the month of August, and that's why it's important.
So anything else you would like to add about what you're doing here as far as your anti-terrorism efforts go?
I'll just say that creating a team mindset for the installation, because again, we're all here. It's our home, and as I said before, I look at anti-terrorism as protecting my home. What are we going to do? We're vigilant. We protect our home. We report anything suspicious to the law enforcement or to the appropriate channels, so that way we can protect what we do, our family members, and the mission overall. That's why I think it's important.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
This has been Outpost Outspoken. Thank you again for listening. We'll see you next time from the forefront of Army transformation.